Shea Dixon here with us for 15 more minutes. Shea, a lot of people looking at the top 10 in Louisiana based on whatever site you want to look at, and they're looking at a lot of guys headed elsewhere. We saw one of those.
Doesn't matter which site you click on, it's still hitting you with it.
It's all the same. Derek Williams from Westgate committed to Texas yesterday, and the thought is, oh my God, they brought this guy in from Notre Dame. He's a national recruiter, doesn't know how to recruit the state. They're all getting away. NIL's ruining the sport. Texas is coming in. What are your kind of thoughts as we sit here in late June about the state of Louisiana and what this staff is doing or not doing?
Okay, so I can see all sides here. I really can. So, but let's at least play this game first. Arch was number one. Arch, are we all agreeing he was never
coming here?
So let's top 9 then. Shelton Sampson, in my opinion, would be number 1 on the list of priority. If I'm LSU right now, I'm doing whatever I can to figure out how to get Shelton Sampson into the boat. He plays at Catholic, big-time school in Baton Rouge, and if he doesn't go to U, he's going to Bama, or he's going to, he's going to some other SEC West school. Hunt, if you're not watching right now, Hunt can't already take it. We're 2 kids in. We'll see what Sampson does. Derek Williams is 3. He goes to Texas. Before last year, I couldn't have named a time like a New Iberia, Acadiana kid that was good didn't go to LSU. Like the kid from Westgate, the tight end last year, went to Bama. Forget his name anyhow. But Kayshawn is from there before. Now he's going to Texas. Mind you, long time from signing day, but he's going to Texas. Holstein's going to Bama. He's the quarterback at Zachary. Now we're back into this conversation of everyone saying, well, he already did this thing with Walker in high school, and then he left STM to go to Zach, so he wasn't going to do it again. Okay, so moving on. Lance Hurd, who plays tackle at Neville. They just got Will Campbell out of Neville. He's a big one they're on. Jaden Osbury, know the last name. His brother just went to Auburn. All signs are pointing to him go to Notre Dame. And we don't even have time for this, but this goes into my U-High discussion. Kids that have been going to LSU, like on campus since kindergarten, by the time they get into 12th grade or, college, they've got options. And it's like, man, I don't think I want to go to school on this campus anymore. I think that happens more often than people realize. So we'll see where he goes, pointing to Notre Dame. Tackett Curtis from Manny just got back from Ohio State. A lot of people think he's going to go there. Omarion Miller was committed to LSU. I think he probably ends up at Nebraska. I don't think he'll end up in the SEC anyhow. Jordan Matthews is in that top 10. Curly Reed, Kylan Jackson. So we're getting into some guys that they've either recently offered or evalin. So not a lot in there where I was telling you like he's going to LSU, no doubt about it. Where do we help me figure this out? I'm too close into it, Hunt. I'm too deep in the recruiting game. You went 500 in back-to-back years and fired everybody that was on the staff. Yep. Is that fair to say that's playing into it for 17-year-olds who, when LSU 2019, they were freshmen in high school. Well, now it's time to decide, and LSU sucked for 2 years in a row. That's got to play some factor, right?
Yeah.
Big one?
Yeah, it's just hard for anybody that's grown up as a diehard LSU fan, which is what listens to this station, to think that anybody from Louisiana would do anything else ever. It's just hard for people to get on board with that. And
that's the fandom and Hunt coming right through.
Yeah.
So then I'd ask, are we in a spot with Brian Kelly, this group? They're having to move quickly. They're having to, get to know a lot of these guys. Maybe this is a class where they haven't been able to recruit them the whole time, that you're sort of like, okay, I get it. I just wonder, because we've heard Brian Kelly say it, look, I came here, Louisiana, it's a base to recruit from, but they're still going around the country to recruit a lot. And I'm not saying you don't have to do that, and I think NIL will change things. But the whole notion for me was, 3 coaches, 1 national championship, the only school that's done it in the past 20 years. 3 different guys. Mm-hmm. And you can discuss the merits, how great all the head coaches are, I don't care. But 3 different ones did it. Yeah. So everyone says, well, Brian Kelly's win record is the same as Nick Saban's. He's won everywhere. He had Notre Dame winning. You put him at LSU with that talent, watch out. I agree. I think that's a good way to look at it. But with that talent, how those other 3 coaches won national championships is the 10 guys on that list were all going to LSU every year. There was 1 or 2, like Cam Robinson, Hootie, Landon Collins. Yeah. I'm just going through Bama's roster over the past 10 years of guys who ended up there.
Devontae Lee.
Devonta Smith.
Not Devontae. We got Devontae Lee. Devontae Smith.
I don't know. I may have some kickback on this. I kind of agree with my boy E-Dub here. He says Texas won 5 games last year. And Texas 8-4. I mean, they're not coming off a national championship. They got what 7 5-stars coming into this class. So I don't know.
They're making some waves. They threw around some NIL money.
No, they
Certainly
didn't.
didn't last year.
Jimbo says that's offensive.
No, wait. Are we saying Texas or A&M?
A&M.
Well, I said Texas first, but then I said A&M. I mean,
No,
they're
I
not
could
too far
agree.
behind there.
A&M, I think we know also what's going on there. Texas, I think Texas has had some good recruiting classes too in recent years. Like Arch wasn't the first good thing to happen to Texas recruiting. I think this whole Arch really pushes forth the narrative of like they have to be back because you got Quinn Ewers, you got to come home from Ohio State, you got Arch, you've got receivers, you got the best O-line class that money could buy a year ago. Remember they did that collective and they were like, every O-lineman that signs with Texas will get $100K. And within like 4 days, they had the best O-line class in the country. They had just knocked them right. More power to you, but they did it. So I think there's expectations that go on Texas. I think there's real expectations that go on A&M right now. Like, if they don't win, those A&M boosters who have a lot of money aren't going to just keep saying, "Yep, yeah, take it, take it."
I think they will.
Take it.
I think they're that.
But not for whoever,
I think
there'll be some firings going on before they.
I think for sure, but they're not going to stop. They're obsessed with winning. They just are so sick of underachieving, and I continue to call them the most underachieving athletic program in the history of college sports. And they're sick of it, and they're just going to throw money at it until something hits. That's what I think.
My worry would become is if what we're seeing right now, again, 6 months from signing day, but if what we're seeing right now was the trend every year, and like they had to go recruit nationally every year, that's not the bread and butter of LSU. That's not, Brian Kelly has said it a million times in his press conferences, like, oh, I came here because the recruiting base is so good. Like, here's a quick one for both. Name the last wide receiver at LSU that you would have considered to be good that wasn't from Louisiana.
Probably Brandon LaFell.
Yeah,
I mean, that's
like
a long time ago.
Terrence Tolliver and Brandon LaFell range.
Yeah. I mean, there are certainly
those guys are
but
older than Jeremy is. So, like,
I'm trying to think. Maybe he's from Louisiana.
I mean, Cadron Boone was on his teams, but not. To
I'm talking
not
like
to those
that.
guys level,
that were difference makers that gone. Like, I would say one of the low points. This is not a knock. In fact, these are two of my favorite guys of like the LSU receiver room was when DJ Chark and Russell Gage were there for that stretch, and they both started in the NFL and have for multiple years now. So like Louisiana is going to give you that talent. How do you go out there, eval it, get them? Like DJ Chark and Russell Gage weren't some top 5 player in the state and top 10 player at their position, but you evaled the state and you got them and you developed them and they became very good players. So I would want to see them stay heavy on Louisiana. I think they're going to have to. For me, it just goes back to what it all began with. This transfer portal stuff, like everyone's talking NIL right now. Transfer portal, if you're taking all these kids from all over the country, they're going to be the quickest kids to leave. The ones when you're taking them from here, and we've seen it, Joe Fuchsia, Greg Brooks, these guys came back here because they wanted to play at LSU so badly. Like a kid will sit at LSU for 2 or 3 years if he knows I'm from, Alexandria and my parents drive over to watch every week. And like Patrick Queen type guy, I've sat for a couple of years and now I'm playing, but my parents got to come to every game. I know all the guys. I think for so many reasons right now, recruiting the state's going to be really paramount.
I do too. I mean, and so your concern level for this staff and recruit, mine is not very high either. I mean, it's so early in the.
I'm not
the whole,
pressing any panic buttons, no. But
I was bummed out when a kid from Westgate goes to Texas. They're terrible. I mean,
you would have been a lot more mad if he would have gone to Bama, which is where
exactly
most people thought, like, okay, he's going to end up going to Bama.
Yeah. No, I'd much rather him go to Texas than A&M or Bama, but it's still like that seems like a kid that you'd want to prioritize, and I'm sure they did. It's
100%.
And you can't. My thing about recruiting, which I don't know a ton about it, but I will. You can't take these kids and lock them in the trunk and drive them to Baton Rouge. Like all you can do is give your pitch, and so sometimes in specific cases, it's just not going to work. If it rarely works, then you've got an issue. But sometimes there's just not much you can do. Is my opinion on the matter.
So you're saying right before signing day, they need to host a big boys from the boot and keep them all locked in there for a bit.
Right.
Just the way, I mean, but yeah,
I'm not pressing any panic buttons.
Oh,
and I think they're very attentive in recruiting. I think they're up to 30 official visitors in the span of like a month and a half. They've been really good guys from all around the country. So there's not like a lack of recruiting going on. And as you mentioned, a lot of schools don't have 6, 7 guys, whatever it might be. I think for LSU fans right now, is exactly what you said. If I pull up the list of Louisiana, which should be where I'm starting, and I'm seeing Texas, Bama, Notre Dame, Texas, Bama, A&M, whomever it might be, you have a little pause for concern because for so long it looked all LSU with maybe the one sprinkled in Bama in there, whatever it might have been. It certainly wasn't the opposite way around where you had to kind of scroll to find an LSU guy. I don't think that will be the case come signing day. I think the top 10 of the rankings could look different come signing day. But it'll, I think the reality remains, right, Hunt, that you want that to look more pro in LSU's favor than not. And right now, simply with verbal commits, it's the other way around.
Reasonable to expect over the next month that this class starts to fill in a little bit more?
I think that July 4th will be a really big stretch for them. They've got some D linemen in the next week or so. I guess July 4th would be in the next week. So in the next week that are set to announce, obviously choosing between a number of schools, but if Jamar Cain can get hot there, they can start to put together a really nice D-line class, and there'll be some other guys over the course of July. July's a dead period, so I think that's a time when a lot of these kids say, okay, I did all these spring visits, I went places in June, now I'm ready to decide before my senior year starts. So next month will be busy. I think it'll be in a good way for LSU.
Thanks so much for watching Hunt Hill on YouTube.
Now do us a favor. Hit the red subscribe button below and throw us a like. See you next time.